It all began with a single thud of wood against earth, a hollow echo in a vast, quiet valley. That sound, steady and rhythmic, carried across the pine-swept ridge, where a man on horseback stopped in his tracks. His coat was dusty, his hat tilted low, and his eyes, though weary, locked on the small figure down below. She stood there, sleeves rolled up, sweat on her brow, guiding a thick log into place. Alone. Determined. He didn't know her name. But he couldn't stop watching. Her name was Clara. After losing her father and her family's old cabin in a fire, she had come back to rebuild it. Not just the structure, but everything it had meant. Her father's hands had once laid the first foundation. She was determined to honor that memory, even if it meant doing it all by herself. She'd sold her small apartment in town, bought a rusted pickup, and brought whatever she had left to this little patch of land nestled between the pines. The neighbors called her foolish. The old folks whispered she'd give up within a week. But Clara never listened to doubts. She had her grief, her memories, and her will. Each log was heavy. Some days the rain made the mud so thick her boots wouldn't lift. Other times, her hands bled from the splinters, but she kept at it. She'd wake before the sun, sometimes falling asleep next to a fire with blueprints in her lap. And always, though she didn't know it, she was being watched. His name was Eli. A former rancher turned drifter. He had lost his ranch, his wife, and his son in a matter of 2 years. A fire started in the hayloft during a dry summer. His son tried to save the horses and didn't make it out. His wife never forgave herself. And Eli, well, he lost them both in more ways than one. Since then, he'd wandered. Working odd jobs, sleeping under stars that once watched his family laugh on their porch. He didn't talk much anymore. Didn't trust much either. But something about Clara, this stubborn woman lifting logs twice her size, caught something deep in him. So, he watched from the ridge, day after day. Not in a creepy way. More like a ghost looking at someone still choosing life. One afternoon, Clara slipped. The log rolled sideways and crushed her ankle. She cried out, trying to drag herself away from the beam. Her tools were out of reach. No one around. For the first time, she felt panic. And that's when Eli finally moved. He came riding down the hill fast, dismounted before his boots hit the ground, and ran to her side. "You all right?" His voice was rough and used. Clara blinked at the stranger. Who are you?" "Just someone who's been watching too long not to help." He carried her inside the frame of the cabin. It was barely walls and dirt floor, but it was shelter. That night, under the stars and with her ankle wrapped, Clara and Eli sat by a fire. She was worried at first, but loneliness and pain can soften edges. He didn't say much, just listened. She told him about the fire, about her father, about why she was here. And then she asked about him. He paused, looked down at the fire for a long while, then said simply, "I used to build too. Until I lost the reason." That was enough. From that night on, Eli kept returning. Not all at once, and not every day. But enough. Enough to bring supplies. Enough to hammer a beam into place. Enough to eat a quiet lunch on a log, not saying much, but not leaving either. They didn't talk about it, but something was building between them. A kind of healing. Silent, sturdy, like the walls of the cabin rising around them. One stormy night, the roof almost gave way. Clara panicked when water started pouring in, but Eli was already outside, roping down a tarp. Lightning flashed, and she saw him standing there, soaked, steady, hands gripping the rope like he was holding back the world. When he came back inside, she looked at him differently. "Why do you keep helping me?" she asked. He shrugged. "Because watching you reminded me what it felt like to try again." Winter came early. The cabin wasn't finished. Clara's ankle healed, but slowly. Eli stayed longer now, even sleeping in the small lean-to beside the porch. She made stew. He told her about his son. She didn't cry, but she placed her hand on his, and that was enough. They spent Christmas inside that half-finished cabin. No decorations, no tree. Just a fire and 2 mugs of cocoa. I never thought I'd have anything to build again, Eli whispered. Clara smiled. You did. You helped me build this. By spring, the cabin stood proud and strong. Wooden beams stretched wide across a porch where 2 chairs now sat side by side. The valley was quiet, but not empty. People started coming by, asking Clara if she'd show them how she did it. She began teaching small workshops. Eli helped with the heavy lifting, and soon, he was smiling again. Laughing, even. They weren't young, but they were building something together, not just a cabin, but a life. The final log was carved with 2 names, Clara and Eli. It sat above the door, strong and simple. And on warm evenings, if you passed through that valley, you might see them there, 2 chairs on the porch, 2 people who had lost everything, but still chose to build again. And you'd hear it. The sound of life being rebuilt, 1 log at a time.